Om Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Guru Devo Maheshwara Guru Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. My humble prostrations to all of you. And first of all, my apologies for the delay in the broadcast. It's not because of any problems physically or mentally. I was asked to go in isolation because there were harsh critics of the ashram, saying that that the ashram had hidden some foreigners, people who have returned from, also people who have returned from foreign countries in the ashram, and it has been, they were hiding these people, especially these people who had the virus, coronavirus. And so we had to prove that there was nobody here, first of all, who had been hidden. And secondly, we went to the hospital, we had to give our blood to test and to come out negative, proving that we did not have coronavirus. And the government wanted us to remain in isolation for 28 days. So my today morning was my last day, and I came out of isolation. So that's why there was a delay in the broadcast, and my apologies. And first, I would like to come with Amma's recent and most recent message. Amma today has been telling everybody, especially her devotees in all over the world, please do not go out. Remain as much as possible in your homes. And she wanted to say that if you want to talk to people, talk to them on the phone or send messages, and please do not talk to them directly. And if you want to go out for shopping, please go in your own cars. Please take your own shopping bag, and please wear masks. And when you go for shopping, try to come back as soon as possible. And a few other things which I'm going to explain later on. But Amma wanted to emphasize these steps today. And earlier in my last broadcast, last satsang, some people misunderstood about Amma's tour dates. And I was praying that Amma would come in this summer as scheduled. And I was praying that the coronavirus would reduce in a couple of weeks. It was not Amma's words. So these were my words. And I was praying to Amma, to asking for the tour to go on schedule. But it seems now that it's not going to happen the way that what we want, because God's or Amma's will is going to be different. So even if Amma is going to come, there will be a lot of restrictions on her giving darshan. And so I'm very doubtful about what is going to happen soon. And but please, as soon as we know something, we will inform you. And we will be also broadcasting through the websites and Amma's Facebook. So the lockdown has been very hard on everyone, and so some people have been getting back to me, and many people have been saying that it has been taking toll on them, and also there has been lockdown almost on about 80% of the countries in the world. But let me say the good news first. in spite of all these things, many people are coming forward to serve selflessly. Postal workers, delivery people, janitorial staff, charity volunteers, and grocery store workers are all doing their job. And imagine if they were nervous and they did not work, what would have been our plight? And especially, also I want to commend all the health workers, the doctors, nurses, and health givers. And I heard that some doctors are giving up their masks to people who are in high risk category, like cancer survivors and small children who have low resistance, as they do not have a steady supply of new masks. And they also know that it's a matter of time before they get the virus. And by doing so, they are saving lives of other people who are in the high risk category. And this is aligned with their dharma and the principles of their profession. And Amma, some of you must have seen the video that Amma had sent her message. And Amma said in her message that Amma knows that her children are all living in fear of coronavirus. Amma said, quotes, this is Amma's message, Amma is thinking all of you and praying for you. This is a time when you have to exercise extreme caution and alertness. It is the time to respond with courage, self-control, and unity. Amma knows that her children are all afraid, but fear is not helpful now. What is needed is caution and alertness. Courage is the primary thing. And with courage, you can overcome anything. So abandon fear and gather courage. The antivirus that can kill this virus is courage. Courage is our mind's antivirus. If you befriend Dhairya Lakshmi, that is the goddess of courage, you will gain the strength to face and overcome anything. So this is what Amma said. I'm just taking a piece of Amma's message. Amma's message is on all the websites and all the Facebook. You can read that, or you can watch the video. And so I just took a little bit of Amma's message. So, and she's because Amma is specially mentioning about courage. I just wanted to talk about this and focus on this, because Amma especially says that the antivirus to the virus is courage. So this is the antidote to the virus. So what is the difference between courage and fearlessness? We have heard about courage, we heard about fearlessness. So just wanted to dwell deep into the definition of what is courage. So in the definition of courage, it means firmness, durability, strength, constancy, steadiness, stability, fortitude, calmness, composure, gravity, patience, inflexibility. So these are all definitions of courage, or we can say synonyms. And when we talk about the difference between courage and fearlessness, in one sense, fearlessness means the absence of fear, as I was talking about earlier. When we talk about fearlessness, it is the absence of the fear of death, or having less fear of death. And if you see the people who walk on tight ropes, or people who do the daredevil act, different acts of, they do not have fear. or they have less fear. And which means, because of the lack of fear, they are able to perform these acts. And in one sense, there is a subtle difference between courage and fear. That's what I'm going to enunciate here. As I said, courage goes beyond fearlessness. And it is a complex and it includes all these different qualities, as I had said, about firmness, strength, constancy, fortitude, calmness, composure. And Amma, in her message, she said, Dhairya Lakshmi. Dhairya Lakshmi means the goddess of courage. And as Swami Amrita Swarupananda was talking about Dhairya Lakshmi, he was saying that Dhairya Lakshmi means it is the mother, divine mother of courage. So courage is actually a feminine quality, and so it's as opposite to what we think is a masculine quality. So when we talk about Dhairya Lakshmi, there is Lakshmi, as we know, the divine mother, and the divine mother of auspiciousness, the divine mother who gives us wealth, both physical as well as spiritual. So this the divine mother Lakshmi has 8 different forms. The first one is Mahalakshmi, the Lakshmi, the divine mother, as we see. The second one is Dhanalakshmi, that is a divine mother of wealth. And the third one is Dhanya Lakshmi, the divine mother of all the auspicious wealth, and also the wealth that we get from the earth, Mother Earth. And Geja Lakshmi, that is the mother, the divine mother of Geja means elephant, but also it means all the animals. And Santana Lakshmi, the Lakshmi, the divine mother who gives us children or progeny. And then Dhairya Lakshmi, or the mother of courage. And Jaya Vijaya Lakshmi, that is the divine mother of victory. And the last, Vidya Lakshmi. So that is the mother of wisdom, or the mother who bestows us knowledge. And so there is what happens when we look at these different forms, the different 8 forms of the divine mother, Amma has emphasized Dhairya Lakshmi, that is the mother of courage. And why she has emphasized this Dhairya Lakshmi will be illustrated through this story. Once upon in a kingdom, there lived a king who was very devoted to Lakshmi Devi in the form of Ashtalakshmi, that the 8 forms of goddesses, the goddess or the divine mother. And he propitiated them every day with love and faith. And owing to his deep and complete devotion, the 8 goddesses blessed the king that he would be granted their vision whenever he desired. And with their blessings, the king ruled the country happily. His kingdom was blessed with every kind of wealth, and hence all the citizens were happy and prosperous. One day, the 8 Lakshmis appeared in the king's dream and told him, "O king, we have decided to leave your kingdom. But because of your devoted service, we will offer you one boon. You can choose one amongst us to stay back in your country. Please let us know your decision." So the next day, the king went to his court and put the question to all his courtiers and subjects in the royal court and asked them for their opinion. And one minister said, "Oh, we need money for proper government of the kingdom. So let us retain Dhanalakshmi, the divine mother of wealth." And next, the farmers opined, "Oh, let's have the Dhanya Lakshmi, the mother of grains." So then others said, "Oh, no. We need children so that we have progeny and succession of our generation. So we need Santana Lakshmi." And after hearing everybody's opinion, the king performed puja to the goddess. And they appeared before him and asked him for his decision. And the king prayed to them and said, "I want the goddess of courage, that is Dhairya Lakshmi, to stay back." And everybody wanted to know the reason for the king's decision. And the king replied, "The man who possesses courage alone can do any job and fulfill his responsibilities. It is indeed in vain if one has the blessings of other Lakshmis, but not that of the goddess of courage." And as a result of the king's decision, all the Lakshmis, the other 7 divine mothers or the forms of Lakshmis, decided to stay back, as they were all destined to stay wherever Dhairya Lakshmi or the divine mother of courage resided. And the subjects were all very happy and went home having learned the valuable lesson from their king, that the good fortune always favors the courageous. So that's why Amma has been emphasizing on Dhairya Lakshmi, the divine mother of courage. So the next natural question for all of us would be how to gather courage. And Amma says, in her message, Amma says that in order to gather courage, we should have, all of us should have the awareness, first of all, awareness of the situation. So what do we need to do? So we need to read and educate about the virus and how it behaves and how it catches on and how do we prevent from catching the virus. And also another scenario is what to do if we have the virus, how to deal with this, etc. So Amma in her message said, "My children should strictly follow all the instructions and directions given by their government and law enforcement officials. At the same time, pray intensely with a melting heart for God's grace." Our grandmothers used to say, "Take the medicine and chant the mantra at the same time." Similarly, in this circumstance, both our diligent effort and God's grace are needed. Every citizen should exercise the same amount of shraddha, attention, and alertness as a soldier serving on the battle line. So this is what Amma has said. So I repeat that everybody should have shraddha, that is alertness, as a soldier serving in the battle line. So we should be like soldiers facing, who are in the battle line, in the battlefront, who are about to be, having a war. And this has been the message that most of the leaders of different countries who have been echoing. And they have been echoing the same message. I'm just reading one of the messages of one of the world leaders, whose name is Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, who has been the president or the ex-president of Liberia, and who also is a Nobel laureate. And Ellen Johnson, in her message, says, "Every person in every nation needs to do their part. This realization led to our turning point of disease control in West Africa. I have full faith in the relentless spirit of the individual, a conviction that leaders emerge in times of crisis at every level of society, that our religious and communal differences pale in comparison to our collective belief in the power of prayer and our respective faith in God. We all need to hunker down in the next few weeks. I pray for the health and well-being of our global citizens. And I ask that everyone remember that our humanity now relies on the essential truth that a life well lived is a life in the service of others. So we can see that even though the physical borders of most of the countries are closed, the mental boundaries of different people from different parts of the world and different religions are melting down as they are facing a common enemy, which is this virus. Science, religion, different professions are coming together to meet this challenge. So our prayer is that if only the world could come together like this and fight against the enemies like poverty, hunger, and homelessness, this world would have been such a beautiful abode. And the second step you need to do to have courage is do not panic if you have any of the symptoms. And many people, what they have been doing is when they start coughing or if they have a runny nose, they go straight to the internet and they Google and they check their symptoms on the internet and convincing themselves that they are on the death's door due to coronavirus. So please do not feel. And also understand that not all the people who had the virus died. Only a certain percentage have died. And we have to understand every year, similar or more number of people are dying to the flu or influenza virus. So please, we have to understand, if we have the first one, which is the awareness, the Shraddha, and if we have the understanding of the symptoms, we will understand that we do not have the virus. Or even, as I said, even if you have the virus, please do not worry. Please go and see the health officials. And the other thing is that, which worries me really, is that due to the panic, people are running to the nearest grocery store. And the funniest thing that I do not understand is that people are more worried about their bottoms than their whole body and their soul. And that's why is there such a rush to buy toilet paper? And why can't you have a toilet with a bidet in your home? And why can't you take care of your body and your mind? Instead of that, people are thinking only about toilet papers and fighting when they go to the grocery stores about toilet paper, nothing else. So we have to understand that we have to give more importance to our soul, to our mind, and keeping our mind in balance. And the third is thinking. The mind always have a tendency to think that the future is going to be terrible. And it always wants to paint a gruesome picture and about the future. One example, I'll just give you an example or a few examples. Like when you go, and especially now, some of or many of the people are alone in their homes. And suppose they are taking the shower. And some people have told me that they are pulling back the shower curtain to make sure that there are no serial killers hiding behind them, behind the shower curtain. And the other one, some people are feeling the stock market is crashing, financial crisis, depression is setting in. So how will I gather the essentials? So we have to understand that courage, we have to gather courage, especially for the soul, and then the courage comes from the soul to the mind. And as Lord Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Dehino asmin yada dehe kaumaram yauvanam jara tadha dehandara praptir dhiras tatra na muhyada. That is, as the embodied soul continuously passes in this body from boyhood to youth to old age, the soul similarly passes into another body at death. And the self-realized soul is not bewildered by such a change. So the soul which is not bewildered is known as dhiraha. That is one courageous one. So when it passes through different experiences, that is known as a dhira, and who is not bewildered by such experiences, by change. Swami Vivekananda, a great saint, said, "The weak have no place here, in this life or any other lives. Weakness tends to lead you to slavery. Weakness leads to all kinds of misery, physical and mental. Weakness is death. There are hundreds of thousands of microbes around us and surrounding us, but they cannot harm us unless we become weak, until the body is ready and predisposed to receive them. There may be millions of microbes of misery floating about us. Never mind. They dare not approach us. They have no power to get hold of us until the mind is weakened. This is the great fact. Strength is felicity, life eternal. Weakness is constant strain and misery. Weakness is death." So that's what Amma is telling us. This is the antidote. And Amma says, courage comes from the understanding that we are the Supreme Self. It is through this spiritual understanding that we can gather courage. We have to understand that we are all Amma's children and Amma is with us. So courage comes from this love that we have for Amma, which is who is nothing but our own Supreme Self. There's a beautiful story to illustrate this. During the reign of one of the greatest emperors of India, who was known as Shivaji, Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj. Now, he had acquired a fort at Raigad and made it impregnable by any of his enemies. And the fort was at the top of a very steep mountain. And it was a marvelous fort which contained a city within it. And nobody could enter or exit the fort without the knowledge and the permission of the gatekeeper. And the fort's giant gates opened in the morning, and people who were living on the foothills of the mountain could go into the fort and come out till the gates closed again at sunset. And the gates could not be opened on any account until the next morning, except on the word of the Emperor Shivaji. And there was a lady by the name of Hirakani who made living by selling milk to the residents of the fort. And she lived in the foothills. and maintained a few cows, and selling milk was her occupation. She had a small baby and who was looked after by her mother-in-law when she went to deliver milk. And the baby was breastfeeding. And the mother-in-law was very old and could barely manage the baby during the daytime. And Hira's husband worked in the army of the king, Shivaji, and used to be at his place of duty on most days, leaving Hira alone to manage the house and the baby. And one day, as usual, Hira milked the cows and carried the milk to the fort. But on that particular day, she had to help out with the delivery of a baby of one of her friends who lived inside the fort. In those days, babies were born at home and the pregnant mothers were helped by other ladies to deliver the child. And Hira was delayed there, and by the time she started for home, she realized that the sun was about to set. Oh God, she thought to herself, it's going to be sunset, and the doors of the fort will close. What will I do if my child remain alone and if I cannot go back home on time? He will be crying with hunger. I have to rush. And thinking thus, she went to the gates and appealed to the guard. Please open the door at once. I have a child at home who is alone. So the guard, the gatekeeper said, sorry, I cannot open except the orders of the king. With only his orders. But I will open the gate only tomorrow morning. And so you have been coming here for the past so many years, and you're not new to the rules. So if you were in such a hurry, you should have come earlier. I'm so extremely sorry. So whatever you say, whatever excuse, so we cannot open the gates. And Hira was helpless. All her thoughts were on her baby son, whose smile on seeing her would make her all forget all the troubles of the day. The very thought of that smiling face, crying in hunger and anxiety at her absence was intolerable. And she was helpless. Hira ran back the way she had come. She was determined to get out of the fort, come what may. She walked all along the boundary walls of the fort, which was perched high on the mountain. And at one particular point, she noticed that there was no wall built. And the portion of the mountain where the wall was missing was so steep, and the vertical drop from that particular spot was so deep with thorny bushes that no one would probably be able to climb up from there and get into the fort, and therefore no wall had been built in that spot. And Hira looked down. The sun set completely, and it was pitch dark, and she could see nothing but outlines of thorny bushes sticking out shrubs on the mountain. And the thought of her baby kept on lingering in her mind, and she decided to climb down from the mountain by holding on to the thorny shrubs. She placed her empty milk cans slowly on the ground, fearing that the slightest clanking noise would alert any soldiers nearby. She looked around cautiously, and then fortunately she did not see any soldiers. And in an instant, Hira jumped over the edifice on the side of the mountain and caught hold of a thorny bush with one hand. And the sharp thorns pierced her skin, and her hands were bleeding. Her dress was caught in another thorny bush, and with great difficulty she extricated her dress, and which tore in many places as she was sliding down on the depths of the mountain side. Her arms, legs, face, and her body were terribly bruised and bleeding. Now and then owls flew overhead, but her son's face, a crying face of her son, only increased her pace and within a short while, she touched the ground. And so what happened was she reached, and what happened was she reached her home, and as she had expected, the child was crying uncontrollably, and her mother-in-law was helpless as there was no way for her to find out why Hira has not returned. And the moment Hira called out to her baby, the crying stopped. Quickly washing her wounds, Hira tended to the baby and fed her baby with her milk. And her mind at rest, Hira slept peacefully. And the next morning, as usual, Hira milked the cows and set out to the ford to sell the milk. And the guard who was there in the evening had not gone yet. And when he saw her, he was aghast. And he said, "Didn't you burned you inside the fort last night? And how did you come out?" And so she just smiled as she was about to pass. He said, "Halt, where are you coming from?" So she said, "To be honest, I'm coming from outside." So he said, "That is impossible. Nobody has been able to go down this fort. I have to take you to the emperor. So you are telling me lies." So Hira said, "Why should I tell you lies? Don't you see me carrying milk also? I want to deliver the milk. So I'm not lying to you." But the guard was not convinced. And so he said, "No way, I want you to take to the emperor." And she was taken to the emperor. And when the emperor, Shivaji Maharaj, heard the story, he was perplexed. And he said, "Well, show me where you climbed down." So Hira went to the place where she climbed down. And the king and the guard took to Hira to that place. As Hira was on the edge of the rock, and when she peered down, she was dizzy and she was about to fall. And the sight of the thorny bushes crisscrossing gave her goosebumps. For the first time, she realized what a dangerous thing she had even attempted. So she looked at the king and said, "Sorry, Your Majesty, I did not realize how deep and dangerous this side of the mountain was. And only my motherly instinct and the anxiety to see my child, who was crying with hunger, blinded me from seeing all these dangers. But I have not lied to you. Therefore, I am willing to accept any punishment." And the great emperor smiled and said, "I have decided to punish you. I'm going to punish you by building a watchtower at this spot. And I'm going to give this watchtower your name, because nobody had the courage except you. And you have been an exemplary example of this courage." So as I said, we have seen this exemplary courage in love, in the moment of love. So what we have to understand is, that our love for Amma is what is going to give us the courage to move forward, and let our love for Amma carry us move forward at this critical time. And as Amma has told us, I want to repeat that. Please do not go outside. Please, if you want to go outside, just go outside only to buy the necessary things. And please do not linger outside talking to people. Wear mask, and take your own car, take your own bags, and put the things inside your own bags, when you come back. And when you come back, please, what you have to do is you have to wash your clothes, wash your feet, wash your hands, take a bath if you can. And this has been the rules which our sages, rishis had laid down in the past. So please do that. And also, in one sense, we can say that nature has been rejoicing at this time, because there is less pollution, there's less cars, factories, and so we want nature is happy. And the other thing is also, even though the lockdown has been tough for many people, I'll quickly just touch on this subject, though it has been a long time. People who have been locked down have been trying to do all sorts of things, and now we have to redefine roles. We have the roles which people have been, and the titles which people have been having. CEO now means Chief Educating Officer, teaching kids at home. COO means Chief, that is chef, and the official organizer, especially after the children turn your home upside down. And CFO means cook for older folks at home. And VP, virus preventer. And purchase manager means getting all the toilet paper and groceries for home. And many people have been telling me that when they have not, when they have been sitting alone, they have been eating a family-sized bag of chips by themselves. And many of the things that they have been discovering during this time is that a Lay's bag of chips has 6 large ones, 32 normal ones, and the rest are broken. And the bathroom has, some of the bathroom has 122 tiles, 52 white, 41 black, and 29 red ones. And people have been pretending to change locations from the office to to another location by taking a break from the internet on the computer to check out the internet on the phone. And many people have been saying that they have been getting some pressure, especially some psychiatric and psychological pressures, that the psychiatric association from the the local city has issued a notice to the citizens saying that, dear citizens, during the quarantine time, it is considered normal to talk to your plants and pots and pets. So please do not contact us if your pets or pots and plants talk to you, but only if they start talking back, or if you start communicating, if they start communicating, and if you start understanding what they are talking, you need to contact us. So one of the things that we just wanted to say was, you need to, first of all, have some kind of discipline, do a lot of yoga, and the other thing is also have, as Amma has been saying, time management is very essential even at this time. And get some exercise, walking inside your rooms, climbing stairs. If you have stairs in your home, climb stairs, get exercises. And the other thing, the most important thing is never miss your spiritual practices. And also, as I was saying, we have to remember those people who have been helping us, especially the health people who have been in the health industry, doctors, nurses. Let us thank them And also, we also have to remember the people, many of the people who are constantly under lockdown, even if there is no virus. And I just want to mention one of the people here who I see as a great example of lockdown is Swamini Sri Lakshmi, who's Amma's personal attendant. Her previous name was Lakshmi. And just wanted to mention her here because she almost 24/7 she's in Amma's room. She barely comes out. And imagine the amount of service seva she's doing to Amma. And without her seva, Amma would not have had such an opportunity to come out and bless us. So I just bow down in front of her selflessness, being locked down 24/7, almost like 360 days in a year. And one last thing, I just wanted to say, there has been different predictions, but one of the greatest things that attracted my attention, a beautiful thing that attracted my attention for the prediction, is that many people have been saying how this time has been. And one of the astrologers said, the antidote to this is selfless prayers and selfless actions. And we have to go beyond our difference between caste, religion, sex, and all these things. And we have to do one thing. One of the most important things is we have to do selfless actions and selfless prayers. When you pray and when you act, do not do for yourself. Why? Because during this time, whatever selfish action you do, it comes back to you with almost 10 times the force. So if you do selflessly also, that comes back to you selflessly. So that's why selfless prayers at this time and selfless actions at this time is very important. So try to do those and try to abide by Amma's instructions of not going out and remaining in your homes. And please do not worry, Amma sends her love. And Amma, as you can see in her message, she wants us to gather courage and move forward with that goal of selflessness, of spiritual practice, and of love, and of courage. Om Amriteshwariye Namaha. And we'll end with the prayer, Loka Samasta, and also the first one, Asatoma Sadgamaya. Om Asatoma Sadgamaya, Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya, Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shantihi. Om Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shantihi. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Thank you, everyone. Namaskar.